Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Brace for Impact. I'm your host, Parks. Of course, joining me is the ever sick Benikage. I was
Yeah,
able to
it
get,
is.
I was able to get over mine last week. I had no voice the entire week. I was a little scared coming forward into this week and being like, "Oh God, what happens when Monday rolls around and we all of a sudden have to do another podcast?" Like, we would have been
Yeah,
dead.
but I remember when I was waiting for this laptop to get repaired, right, at the end of the year, and
Yeah,
I was sick then. I got sick from the playoffs, right, the MLS Cup playoffs, I got sick, and, I had a flu then, and now I went to the Champions League round of 16 second leg,
yeah.
right, with the start of the Union season pretty much, and I'm sick again. I'm like, "What the hell?" I just I can't
Someone
I can't catch
say,
a break.
soccer is infectious.
Yeah, it's infected me many times, twice in the span of 4 months, but yeah, no, it's good to be back. It's good to be on another episode of Brace for Impact. We got a lot to cover,
Oh my
so
God,
we might
yes.
as well start flying through Parks. Where do you wanna begin?
I think we should begin with the probably the longest part that we're going to talk about here is the first 2 weeks of ESL Impact Season 3,
Okay, that's
because
fine.
I think that one's going to be at the same time it's easiest to get out of the way. It's easiest to kind of talk about and start us up with. There's a few key things that kind of come forward here in the divisions. I think we should start with South America, just because we
Okay,
don't usually start with them. I feel like we should start with them for once.
okay,
Who
that's fine.
what are we looking at here? Group A matches coming through at the start here. We got Furia going up against MIBR. Now this is a new look Furia, I believe, at this point
Yeah, and a
because
new look MIBR
yeah,
for all intents and purposes.
yeah, and these are two new look teams, and Furia, listen, they're still strong enough. 16-5 on Inferno, 16-8 on Mirage. They take that pretty handily. And then I don't know if there was anything huge in that match. I'm gonna open up. Oh, huge thing. I don't know if we mentioned this last time. All the ESL Impact leagues are
Yep.
on
They're
HLTV.
on TV, yes, I'm so happy, which means that all that talk we did about the format last few like, episodes and episodes ago, if you're an OG, you know what I'm talking about right now. It was pointless, wasn't it? It had nothing to do with the format, what didn't it? Because,
It had everything to do with the size of the tournament and the basis on which it was going to last. And it's here to
and
stay, and it's
yes,
growing, and there's a lot of org support behind it. So what did HLTV do? They said, okay.
okay, yeah,
And at first,
thankfully.
it was very interesting. At first, EU was the only one up for a while.
Yeah, I was like, okay," but then they actually came through and put South America, North
Yeah,
America on there, so
they put the other ones in there too, which is really good. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just going back to this match. I don't really see anything too big from it. I mean, Kyle looked very good, 36 and 20, 38 and 21, sorry, overall in the series, plus 17. I don't know. You talk about two new look squads. This Furia side was already pretty good. Olga was just kind of the carrying factor when it came to a lot of the international side of stuff, but domestically, they're still a very good team, and that just continues to carry through here. So, let's just quickly go on to
I'm
where.
interested to see it at how potent this Furious side's gonna be without Olga, because Olga was a great player, don't get me
Yeah,
wrong, she still is a great player, she's gonna do amazing things on HSG, but I look at this Furious side and I compare it to that old Navi side that had, like, Zeus as the coach, but
yeah,
then, like, Simple was really, like, dragging them into finals through series, like and I'm not saying Olga didn't, there's plenty more talent on the side, trust me. If anything, the first 2 weeks Impact proved that. But it's one of those things where, like, the balance isn't right, right? Like, you
yeah,
could have an amazing player who could put up 30 kills every game, and you could fail to win tournaments, right? We've seen that so many times in CS. So it's one of those things where it's like, what is the balance of the team now? Because if Olga departing means that they can find somebody who brings in good enough firepower, but now it's kind of equally distributed and everybody plays a more even role, and that same chemistry is there, then this Fury side is going to be really good. Like they're not going to be worse off because of Olga leaving. So that's what I'm looking forward to see across this season of ESL Impact.
yeah. And I mean, that was Fury and MIBR's first match. They'll play against each other again in round four, which is 2 weeks from now, which is great.
Yeah.
Just about in time for us to record another episode.
Yep.
The other match that came through on week one for Group A was Parabellum going up against W7M. W7M win 16-6,
Uh,
19-16.
no. The first matchup was oh, you're
Yeah.
talking about Group A. Okay,
Yep.
I'm
Group A.
sorry.
Group A.
Got
Group A. You're
got
fine.
got
Your brain's a little messed up. I'll give you a pass on that one.
Keep going, keep going.
Keep going.
Parabellum and W7M.
Yeah, and so OT on that one on overpass there, but again W7 are pulling through. Again, still, you know, I don't. That's the thing is because the timing of it. I'm not home to watch these games.
Right,
I'm at work still when
right.
these goes through.
I'm gonna be honest
So
with you, Chief. Neither am I. Like
yeah,
even if I fly home,
we're not
I
making
don't
it in
get in
time.
time for the start.
So
Like I
then
can pick up. Yeah.
yeah, so then Fury and W7M go up against each other in week 2 of Group A, and it's a
Mhm.
16-5, 16-7. So again, Fury they got one. Sorry, W7M got one less round than MIBR did the week before. MIBR going up against Parabellum, and I think we can kind of see where the most important match of this group will actually be is going to be between MIBR and W7M because
Yeah.
MIBR did the 2-0 against Parabellum. It was a 16-4, 16-7. So this week's match coming up, Parabellum going up against W7M going up against MIBR. That will be the important match to decide who's going to be in the 2B section of Group A. And we're always going to laugh at
Yep.
that because
Yeah.
of
It's
all of
2A,
season
not
1,
2B. It's the 2A section
it's
of
the
Group
2A
A.
section of yeah.
But yeah, no, I get you. I get you. I know where you were going with that. One thing to point out real quick about this is that Bokor on the Ancient versus W7M
Right.
looked really good. Like Bokor is definitely a player who everybody's watching because she's the new player on Furia, right? The other thing I want to point out is Gabs is back, right? So the departure of Olga means that Gabs is back. So you have Gabby, Gabs, you have Bokor, whose name is Gabriella. So you no lie either. Like so it's Gabs Esports or Gab Esports.
Gabs Esports.
Yep.
Something
But
else,
no, like it's nice to see that Gabs is back is where I was going with that. But
yeah.
also like she hasn't really missed a beat. Like she's really come back straight into this lineup and is just competing at the highest level and playing very good Counter-Strike. So she was retired for about a year, a little over a year, I want to say. And she's come back in the lineup and she's just picked up right where she's left off.
That's crazy. So that leaves us with Group A for now. We got 4 more weeks left of tournament play, so there'll be 2 more episodes of us, I guess, on that.
Yep.
Coming up is Group B now, then, which is B4 female, Black Dragons, LRV, and Endgame. First week match, Black Dragons going up against LRV, 16-14 on both Overpass and Nuke for 2-0 of Black Dragons over LRV. Before smoking Black Dragons. That's whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
16-1, 16-6. Like,
Yeah, I'll hold the phone here for a second.
what's up?
Black Dragons played twice in the first week, and Endgame played twice in the second week. That's
No?
that's messed. No, if I'm
Oh yeah,
checking
they
the
did. Oh yeah, they
Wikipedia,
did. They did. Yeah.
whoa, my brain hurts.
It could just be a scheduling
I
thing.
think it was a
So
scheduling thing because if you look at the rest of them, there's no that doesn't happen again. So
yeah.
my guess is one of the two teams had something that they had to be there for and they couldn't play first week, so they just said, "Hey, listen, we got the other team in there." That messed with my mind for a second. I was not prepared for
Yeah,
that.
we're gonna get to that too because Europe, if you notice the upcoming matches for Europe, because there's
Yeah,
you know how they're larger groups, so they play 3 matches. There's only
yeah.
2 matches on Wednesday and Thursday.
It's gonna happen more so in EU.
Yeah.
That really messed with my mind. No,
Yeah,
so
no, it's
B4
good.
goes up and plays up against Black Dragons 16-1, 16-6. LRV versus Endgame, it's our first 3 mapper. Goes in the
Yep.
way of LRV. They win 16-14 and 16-11 on Anubis, 16-14
Yeah,
on Nuke, sorry.
to me, so I got finish.
No, and then there was an 8-16, a 16-8 for Endgame's favor to force the map 3 of Anubis.
Right. To me, this was a little bit of the shock. Like LRV are a good side. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah,
but the main thing is like LRV have always been that last team in. Like if you're gonna have an 8 team league and you have like 4 teams qualify, like the team qualifying in 8th place has always been either LRV or Parabellum, right?
right.
One of the two. And I'm actually kind of shocked because Endgame I don't think had any player changes. I mean, they still got Sophia, Nami, Luflix, V, and Tata. So it just, I was shocked that Endgame lost. I wouldn't have picked Endgame like to be, I don't want to say competitive because I do expect them to be competitive in these series, but like you wouldn't have picked them, or I personally wouldn't have picked them to be the number 2 team in Group B.
Yeah,
I certainly think that's Black Dragons, but I would have definitely said Endgame were number 3, and there wasn't too much to divide Endgame from Black Dragons, and this is a big loss like that. It's unfortunate for Endgame. Some players played really good. I mean, Counter Strike, like, so Sophia and the Nuke was 30 and 19 with 99.4 ADR, and Nami had a cast of 80%,
yeah,
and they lost that map. Like, and not only that, but Flix had a cast of 80% as well, and they lost that map. And then Sophia played 22 and 17 on the Anubis with 97.8 ADR, and they lost the map. So like, it's just, I don't know what happened with Endgame here, but I definitely wouldn't have picked them to beat or to lose to LRV. And LRV have been playing some really strong Counter Strike as of recently. So teams, B4 I think is pretty much going to roll the group. I mean,
yeah. They've
they've
been rolling the group
definitely
already,
shown their
so
class. Yeah, they've definitely shown their class in those series, right? But it's one of those things where, like, if you're the other 2 teams in this group, you can no longer look at Endgame and see we should win that. You got to really put in the hours to prep for that game and expect that game to be tricky because Endgame, or I'm sorry, LRV, I should say, if you're playing against LRV, because um, they're gonna give you a tough time.
for sure. So that's South America right now. It's not great for Endgame. It's not great. LRV are definitely looking good on that side at least. They're they're looking to break it. You break what Endgame are trying to put forward, and I think that was a good match, especially on that week. Like that's a good week to take up the the W for that. I mean, the next time they play is in week 5. No, sorry, in week 4. So they play again in week 4, which that match, I think in my mind, that's the match to decide which one of them is going to be kind of fighting for that second spot with Black Dragons. And Black Dragons, of course, they got to play Endgame next. They got to play them this week.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's a big match for them as well. Every match is big for everybody except
yeah,
V4.
because it was 2 16-14s between Black Dragons and LRV. So literally the second series, who knows what we're gonna get? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If Black Dragons take that series and they 2-0 LRV, okay, fine. You're looking at them being 2B,
Yeah.
sure, but you know, you can't write LRV off yet. They're
No.
really giving it a puncher's. They really got a puncher's chance
Yeah,
right
for
now.
sure. Speaking of puncher's chance, why not punch our way up into North America?
Okay.
Let's dig in. Let's dig in. Interesting series so far.
Yep.
Across the way. Matches that we got to cast a little bit of as well.
Yeah.
A little bit of shout out to Snicky as well, joining you,
Yeah.
and Nessie. Nessie joined in for a series.
Nick the goat 1E.
He'll get a kick out of that.
Yes.
Uh, they'll get a kick out of that for sure. Yeah, Group A, Bite versus Shimmer was the first match, and CLG Red going up against Saints.
Mhm.
Pretty much exactly what we expected. That Shimmer and CLG Red are obviously the top 2 teams coming in out of the group.
Yeah.
And I mean, Saints were 16-7 across the board. Shimmer
Yeah, but
16-3,
a better showing,
16-10.
right? Like, real quick, the Saints versus CLG game,
Yeah,
like, after what we saw in Sweden, and, like, they just got smoked in
Katowice.
Sweden, right?
Katowice.
I'm sorry, Katowice, yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. After we saw them in Katowice, they got absolutely steamrolled in Katowice, and
Yeah.
then I'm like, "Oh," I didn't expect. I was expecting much of the same, right? So I'm like, 7 rounds actually isn't that bad a performance for the side,
No,
considering they made 2 roster
for
changes as
sure.
well,
I was
like,
gonna
that's
say the other big thing is they made those 2 roster changes. I mean, at this point, the Echo roster that we know has basically dissolved itself and has been spread about among all of the other rosters, which is kind of funny.
it's
But
ashes spread
yeah,
across North
yeah,
America, yeah.
it's Echoes left over. We'll hear them in our dreams. Uh, no, again, like you said, good showing. I liked what I saw from it. as much as you can from it being like a
Mm.
few weeks of them being together in any official capacity. They haven't played any cash cups as well, which is, we'll get to that a little bit later. Um, so yeah, 16-7s were really good. And yeah, Shimmer versus Bite. Bite are an interesting team.
Mhm.
They kind of we mentioned that LRV role in South America. They kind of fill that role in North America where they're good enough to be in, but they haven't really
Yeah,
found their place yet. They're always
right.
squeaking by kind of thing. And that the 16-3 on Anubis is 10-7, or sorry, 16-7, 16-10.
10. Yeah.
I don't know where 7 came from.
Oh,
Against
the
Shimmer.
Saints match, that's where it came
Shimmer,
from.
yeah.
But look, Anubis is a map they need to work on more. I'll put it that way. So because and I don't mean that like harshly. I'm looking at the group and I'm like the other team in the group is Saints, and Saints play Anubis. Like Saints will perfectly be fine playing Anubis. That's
Yeah.
definitely a map they're scrimming. CLG at the time of this recording are playing the main Detonate roster right now on Anubis. So every other team in your group plays Anubis, is practicing Anubis. And you would have figured of the three teams that you could have had a go at on Anubis, Shimmer would have been the one that Bite probably would have had the best chance of
And
taking down. And they got pretty one side, like, it was pretty
it was
one-sided.
pretty one-sided.
It was bad. It was bad. I'll just come out and say it was bad.
I
But, like, so, I mean, only Rice was in double digit for kills.
yeah.
So it's just not a particularly good map for them. Um, Maybe they scrim more on it, sure. Maybe they just look elsewhere in the map pool, right? Especially if everybody else in the group is picking it up and practicing it. It might be time to just divert away from that. But, look, Bite, I mean, it's a good team. Like, these are good players. Like, I don't want to take anything away from these players. Like, BMAX and Sunny and Rice has looked.
Rice has
Rice
looked
had
very good.
moments of, yeah. Rice had moments where she really, really was excellent. And Bella on Inferno, particularly, I think is a pretty
Yeah.
decent player. So I'm looking at Bite and I'm like, you just gotta keep playing. You just gotta keep going. I think it's pretty much the road's gonna end at week 6 for this team, but you know what I mean? But I think,
Yeah, I don't
like,
know.
at the same time, like, this is a good chance to really sharpen some skills and get the experience that a lot of these players really need.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it from a they have the cogs of the machine, now they need to put them together and actually make it run smoothly. The
Yeah, that's fair.
good pieces that are there stick together a little bit longer, maybe play season 4, because sticking together has always been a really good thing. I mean, I harken back always to the old RBG squad, originally with G-Man and then a bunch like Hex, Wiz, Walco, those guys. When they originally came forward, they were like they were known for just having been together for like 3 seasons. And sure, they hadn't really hit their level yet, but then eventually they get into ECL, and home name got signed by EG, and that's kind of where they're at right now. They've lost pieces along the way for sure, but the core
Yeah.
stuck together, and that was the important bit.
There's a lot of history in the women's game where it's cores that stick together win together.
Yeah,
I mean, CLG have stuck with cores for a very long time. It's been a bit chopped up the last, like, year, but
yeah, they had the
the main
huge axing, so
yeah, but the main point is, like, historically, they give players tons of time to really sort issues out. They've won 8 world championships as an organization, like, that is incredible, or I should say as a core, as the old core at least, right?
yeah.
Then you look at Nigma, and, that core stayed together, right, when things started happening in 2020 and G2 well, then was XSET, but they left the scene, right?
Hmm.
And because that core stayed together, decided to commit to Counter Strike after trying to go to Valorant. They said, no, we're going to stick together. We're going to play Counter Strike. Four land wins in a row, like that. So you really, it's very odd because in the tier 1 game, I don't think teams and orgs give a lot of players time. I think giving them time is like 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
Whereas down in the women's game, the most successful rosters play for like 2 to 3 years together and then decide if it's not working, okay, we really need to make a change.
I think that's shifting a little bit just with some of the other teams, but it makes sense to stick together longer.
Yeah.
I guess that's where we're gonna go with that.
No,
So
you're right. It is shifting a little bit as well,
shifting a
but still,
lot.
yeah.
Going back to Group A then. So we had the week two matches. Sorry. A bit more interesting, I want to say. Shimmer going up, or sorry, Saints going up against Bites because the other one's actually very interesting as well. Saints going up against Bite. Bite actually won the first map. It was an ancient.
Yeah.
They won 16-11. And then Saints kind of said, "Oh, we're here though," and won 16-8 on Overpass, and then destroyed them on Vertigo. It was not a pretty Vertigo. It was 16 to
No, not at
2.
all.
But
That's another one where maybe you don't put that in the map pool if you're
yeah,
Bite.
good showing on the first map. I mean, especially from I believe it was Bella on
Yeah,
that one or
and
BMax.
good showing in the first half of the Overpass as
Yeah,
well. Remember, there was the Overpass was an 8-7.5, and then Saints ran away with it on their CT side. There's like you said, there's pieces here for Bite, right? We know they play Inferno. They can play it competently. They might not win on it all the time or a majority of the time,
yeah,
but they can play it. So if they get a little better, obviously they can play the Ancient. There's something they could build off of on the Overpass, right? So once you improve maybe the Inferno and the Overpass a little bit, then you're starting to talk about a map pool coming together for you
yeah,
there.
exactly. Okay, and that leaves us with the probably the biggest match in NA in terms of meaning to it, not in terms of an actual result, but the actual meaning
No,
behind it.
yep, yep.
CLG Red going up against Shimmer, and Shimmer, congratulations to them, are the first team in domestic play to take women's domestic play, sorry, to take a map off of CLG Red in a very long time since the Impact seasons, since the Impact
Since the Impact circuit started, yeah.
started.
They're the
Uh,
first they're the first team to take a domestic map off of CLG within the Impact circuit.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was a 16-14 on Overpass, and watching that match was something else. I mean, there was a lot of rounds there where it looked like CLG Red should probably have it and should just take it home, and Shimmer did not quit. They did not give up.
Yeah.
They brought it in. Congrats to them. I mean, that's a huge thing. We talked about it for a lot of last year. Um, was that at the time it was before they became EG Gold. Sacrifice were the closest team to do it. I think they nearly did it twice. They did it
They
once
took
on
go
overtime.
ahead.
Yeah, they went to overtime once on Dust 2, and they
Uh-huh.
lost. I think it was 1916 on that.
Yep.
I don't remember the other time that it was really
Ancient.
close.
It
Ancient.
was a Cash Cup grand final. They lost in overtime,
Yeah.
1916 on Ancient. So,
So
yeah.
two close attempts, but yeah, Shimmer is the one team to actually bring it over the line on that. And I don't know if that signals anything yet because Shimmer did end up losing that match. They lost 16-6 on Mirage and 16-4 on Inferno. So CLG Red still take the win. They're still undefeated as a whole, but they in domestic Impact circuit play, they've lost a map now. And I don't know that I don't know if that means that the competition around them is getting better. I'd like to think that. I think
I
CLG
think
Red
that.
are still because they're still improving as a roster. CLG Red are.
Right.
I think you have to add into that Shimmer is a very good roster coming forward, and that potential. There's potential here if you think about it. Then for Detonate Sparks to be in that conversation because we've seen how close Detonate Sparks and Shimmer are. So we're kind of starting to see the level between all these teams and just through various competitions come through.
Yeah, I think the other thing is it gobsmacks me how Shimmer's not signed. Because it's like, bruh, like this team took a map off CLG. Like this is the other competitive
I
team.
don't
These
think
players are
anybody's
really good.
seeing a map get taken off by CLG Red and instantly pulling out their checkbooks though. Like it's gonna take
No,
time.
but my point is like Detonate Sparks came in absolutely huge. Love that they came in, by the way. Great organization. Team Factor came in. Eros came in as well, even though they didn't make the Impact League, but they're in the scene. And it's like, how is this lineup the one that doesn't get signed? Like it's so good, this lineup. Like I look at the names on paper, I'm like Alex, Lisa, Vanessa, Empathy, Abby. I'm like, yeah, this is the best. This is the team that packs the biggest punch outside of CLG right now. And the other thing too that was odd about the Overpass is it was a T-sided map.
Yeah.
CLG won 11 T-sided rounds, and then Shimmer ran it back on T-sided
112.
112. It was like it was a very odd match to watch because of that, but it was a welcome surprise that Shimmer were able to get a map at least over the line. I think it also points out the weaknesses in CLG's map pool,
Yeah.
which they're I think that's we talked about it with Connie before the
Before
Katowice
Katowice, yeah.
land. Yeah, and I think that's the big problem is that teams that, you know, are willing to risk out aiming you will take you on a Mirage, they'll take you on an Inferno. Overpass is a more tactical map, but teams that scrim it a lot, and certainly Shimmer is one of them. They play a ton of Overpass. You know, they're going to be confident in saying, "Well, we know this map, so you know we're willing to have a go at you." And I think there needs to be something for CLG outside of these three maps. They play a little bit of Vertigo. They're practicing Anubis. I don't think they're really they've played Ancient, but I don't think they're leaning too much into Ancient. So it's like, where do they go? But they need to think of something because this map pool just doesn't work for them, man. Your map pool in today's game with this map pool that currently from Valve, your map pool cannot be Mirage, Inferno, Overpass because everybody plays that
Yeah.
and everybody's going to be gunning for you on that. You have to have something in there to punish pick opponents. And right now, CLG are just opening up their arms to every challenger, which is fine. But at some point, you're going to get socked in the mouth. And this might have just been a glancing blow from Shimmer, but you know,
We've seen
it's
enough in
got to
international
improve.
play.
It's got to improve.
So that's Group A. And then we'll kind of speed walk through Group B here. EG Gold, Detonate Sparks, first match up against each other. That's I wouldn't say that's the marquee of the season there, but I think that's the one that everybody's looking at and going, okay, this is the newer Detonate squad that used to be kind of Little Box and Please Send Box. Like we've seen different versions of it. Now it's Detonate Sparks. Oh, is there still going to be some kind of big fuel between the two? And honestly, a 16-6 on Mirage and a 16-14 on Inferno. And congratulations to Sevenlicious for being finally announced signed to that team, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
She played the matches
Big
before they
congrats,
announced
actually.
it, which is funny, in my mind. But she's playing from Europe. Like
Yeah.
she's not moving until I want to say April. I think that was what they said. So you're missing out
Mhm.
on half the season, half the
Yeah.
Impact season. You're playing at like 3 a.m. That's got to be draining. And she stood out in the first match there, in her first matchup
Yeah,
before it's
she was like their
official.
best player in the series.
Yep, she was. So the 2-0 there from Detonates Spurs. I think that's where we look at it now. We cannot judge because it was like Cow Day. We can't judge until she's over here and she's really had a chance to be with the team. But early indications are I'm scared about the CG roster because it does
Yeah.
not look the best. They have played up against Team Factor Ruby. That was actually the second week match where they 2-0 Team Factor Ruby 16-10, 16-9. Team Factor have looked really good, even if they're not getting
Yeah.
the W's here, because they lost 16-9, 16-11 to Star in that first week as well. But they're in the games, if that makes sense. They don't win them overall, but they're
Yeah, no,
there.
I get it's not a blowout, right? And
No.
Catalyst looked particularly pretty good in that series as well. I know
Yes.
that's a player I believe you have pointed out. You were Snicky, pointed out like consistently as like
Yeah.
one to really watch. Played really good. And I share your hesitations with the EG roster. Uh I think I'm I don't know, man. I just think there's just not enough. I think Milky plays well. I think Jess can be inconsistent at times, but when she plays well, she can be the best player on the team. Sevenlicious look great. I mean, coming when she moves to the US,
Yeah.
she's gonna look absolutely fantastic. I think it's just proof of how good she really is. And I don't blame her for taking the opportunity of joining this roster,
No.
even though it really has some heavy baggage weighing it down right now. But I don't know where they get the rest of what they need from. I really don't. I just don't see what this roster does right now. I just think it's kind of dead in the water, unfortunately. That's pretty harsh. I understand, but the results haven't matched, and it's not been one tournament. It's not been two tournaments. It's not been three tournaments. It
It's
consistently
been
gets
months
worse.
on end at this
It's
point.
it's been a slide. It's been we made a land to then we made a land but got smoked at it. Then we didn't make a land. Now we might not even finish in the playoffs for the season. It's as a possibility. Like it's still the slide, they're still on the slide, and they have to get off. And changing one player might not be it. So we'll see what happens, but it's got to improve.
Yeah, the biggest
It,
matchup for them, honestly, is this week against Starfish because we know
yeah.
Detonate Sparks is looking, by all intents and purposes, to be the 1B. So now is it going to be? It's between Evil Geniuses and Starfish at this point. With Team Factor Ruby being 0-2 already, they're going to
Well,
struggle.
I'm not going to write off the return leg of Detonate versus EG, but
No, I won't either.
because by then Sevalicious might be in the US, and then you're talking
It'll be
potentially.
close. It'll be close.
It'll
That'll
be
be
close.
like
Yeah.
her first week. I'm just looking at this now. No, she won't be in the U.S. next week in
Okay.
time for in time for their match.
Okay.
So the timing works out that Similicious will maybe get the last 2 weeks in, depending on when her flight is in April. Like if it's late March,
Right.
early April, she'll be here in time for 5, 5, and 6. If it's
Right.
midweek next time around, it's gonna be just week 6. So that's NA. Detonate Sparks looking
So,
good.
did we talk about Starfish
Oh yeah,
over Team Factor
we
Ruby?
well we mentioned that Team Factor Ruby lost one, but we're competitive in it. Like I
Yeah.
think the way we got to look at Starfish right now because they were hammered by Detonate 16-4 across
Yeah.
both Ancient and Inferno. That was not a pleasant series to watch. But well, it was really good for Detonate. It was not so great for Sparks or for
Right.
Starfish. I am hopeful that they have a very good matchup against EG. I'm hoping there's some kind of competitiveness there because otherwise, what you basically have is, you have Detonate at the top. You have EG who are kind of become de facto next, even though
Yep.
they're not at what we don't expect them to be at that level. Like we want them to be fighting for second, third. Not it is guaranteed a first place. It is also then like a guaranteed second spot, and then it's third, fourth. I'd like a fight between second and third, like we're gonna have with Saints and Shimmer. Although we don't even know how competitive that one is going to be because we haven't seen Saints play aside from ESL Impact matches, and they're playing Saints this week. So we'll see in week 3 basically kind of where the 2 and 3s stack up against each other in these groups.
Yep.
All
Over to
right,
Europe.
over to Europe, and we're gonna have
Over to
to.
Europe.
We got so many other tournaments to do, man. There's so
I
much
know.
coming down
We
the
got a lot
pipe.
of news.
So much
Let's
news.
just keep going.
Yeah. All right. So week 1, we're gonna kind of bust through these ones because
Yep.
there are 6 teams per group. It's a different. There's more matches per week. They
Yep.
did 4 matches in the first week here, in Group A. So Enigma Galaxy went up against MVP and won
Yep.
2-0.
Now this is a new MVP lineup. That's the one I wanted
Yeah.
to talk about real quick. New MVP lineup, not the old MVP lineup, which I believe was the majority Russian side. Now this is a mix with Chia, Jamie, Tinka, Sunside, Moraltis. So
Yeah.
different MVP side.
And I mean, we got news about them later as well.
Yes.
Big Akipa then also went up and played against Aces. Aces lost that one. Sorry, it was 16-8, 16-14 for Aces, and then 16-11 on Anubis for Big. So they won that one. And then comes another one for Enigma Galaxy. This
Yep.
time going up against Nip. And we talked about domestic play for CLG losing. This is the first time that Enigma Galaxy have lost in the Impact circuit in a series. And they
Yeah.
lost 2-0, 16-14 on Mirage, 19-17 on Vertigo. Ding dong, NIP is here.
It's a 38 series win streak that snapped by NIP. Something about NIP and streaks, man.
Yeah?
It's just it is what it, but no, the girls played phenomenal on the NIP side, really. They played some of the best Counter-Strike we've seen them play. Vilga said after the match she had a lot of lag, but like 100 ping.
Yeah.
But I don't think that was a terminating. I mean, these games were freaking close too. Like they were 60-14,
Yeah.
19-17 like that. It's as close as you could get. I think though, Astra played as like, especially on the Mirage. She was lights out on the Mirage. So good, so impactful. And then the Quiara, who's a player I've watched for a while, back when she was on Copenhagen,
Yeah.
and here she is on NIP. Like she took over the game in the second map a little bit there, and I think it's really good. NIP really looks strong when they're clicking on all cylinders. This is a lineup that they continue to improve. They're gonna really do some damage in this league. You've got to think they could be in a position to qualify, maybe not even make be the number one seed. They might not win it because remember the group winner automatically goes to the land.
Yep.
They're in a good spot. I mean, they only have 3 to go. Remember, they play 1 less. But it's the fact that certainly they're in a spot where they might be playing for that 3rd and final land spot, come the end of the season.
Yeah, they do play one less. That's weird. Is that? Sorry, I don't know why that why they're only playing 5.
It's
That's
because
just because of
it's
groups.
single round robin and not
Single
double
round,
round
not
robin.
double. Yes, that makes sense. Sorry, my brain is a little shut off there for a second. So yeah, that's honestly that's huge though, because that throws basically whatever we were thinking about in terms of the group side. That throws it
Yeah,
way out because now all of a
yeah.
sudden you're looking, you're going Enigma's 1-1. Big Akipa and Ninjas and Pajamas, they're both 2-0. They both hold the top spots. I mean, Astralis going up and winning against MVP is another 2-1. NIP then in week 2 winning up against Aces. Big Akipa winning up against Astralis. You've got your 2-2-0 teams, you got your 2-1-1 teams, and you got your 2-0-2 teams. And yeah, I don't think we're gonna be seeing Aces or MVP at the LAN, just based on the fact that they've gone 0-2. They need to win the next 3, and
Right.
they need some luck on the other ends of the bracket. Like it's not looking great for them.
Yeah.
Nigma is gonna have a bit of a struggle here, I think. If 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 they're gonna struggle if they can't find quick, like get the form back in terms of just outright destroying people, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
I agree. But I think in the long run they're gonna be okay.
Oh yeah.
What will interest me is really the game between NIP and Big Akipa
Yes.
because, um, like you could like you everybody can see a world where Enigma just runs the rest of the group out, finishes 4-1,
Yeah.
and it's going to be one of those ones where who wins the Big Akipa NIP game? Because if they win that, whoever wins that game, if they can win out, like if you're NIP and you beat Big Akipa,
Yeah.
you got to play Astralis, and I think you got to play um MVP,
They
or it
gotta
might
play.
be Aces, one of the two.
They've
But the
already
point
played
is, like,
Aces. They've already played Aces and
okay,
won.
so you got to play MVP and Astralis.
Yeah.
So now it's like you would be if you win against Big Akipa. Obviously, you don't want to take Astralis or MVP for granted, but you're in a very good position to 5-0 this group
Yes.
and send Nigma to the playoffs, and immediately you're at the land. Like
Yeah.
that would be huge if you're NIP.
You know what the craziest part of that matchup is?
But
It is the
it's next
last
week.
matchup of week 6. It
Oh
is
my god.
literally the last European
That
matchup in
is
Group
gonna be
A is
oh
NIP
no.
versus Big. So if NIP and Big just continue to win out as they are, well, it'd be Big would have to lose for Enigma to win. So you'd have a 5-0, a 4-1, and a 3-2, and
Yeah.
the 3-2 team would not make it. That
Yeah.
blows my mind. All right, Group B then. First week matchups. Interestingly enough, because of the way it's stacked, 1 week
Yep.
one team go. 1 week they have 2 matches for one, and the other one had 4. And the other week now we have 4 matches, and Group A only had 2. So this week 2 was the 4 matcher for this one. And just before you kind of get into this, I mean we had a few unsigned teams get signed here. So Outcasts are going to be our
Yep.
guild now, and
Yep.
we forgot to mention it. MVP are now
Yep.
Team
They got
Spirit,
signed.
and G2 have popped in.
Javi!
G2 popped in, signing the Giuliano core. Giuliano went
Yeah.
from playing Valorant for G2 to now coming back
To
and playing
CS
CS
for
for
G2,
G2
yeah.
again. I
Yeah.
love that storyline. Giuliano and
That's
Zaz
awesome.
have had a great career.
Yeah, and Krasi's on that lineup as well.
Exactly, yeah. So yeah, week 1 comes through. Navi Javelins 2-1ing G2, but G2 looked good for some of those. Like
Yeah.
16-7, but the 16-14 on Nuke was very, very classic from them. A 16-9 on Inferno. They played yeah. It was Navi Javelins taking that one.
And the thing too is this new player Kiosa looked
Yes.
pretty good. You
Yes.
know. So
Very good.
I'm looking forward to what the rest of this lineup can do.
Guild versus Angels. Now, Guild is a squad that we know Kiki from. She stood in
Mhm,
for Saints at Katowice.
mhm.
We got Anna, Nea, Mini, Pollux. They went up
I know
against
Mini and Pollux from this
yeah.
lineup as
They
well.
went up against Angels and they won 2-1. And that was a nail biter. It was a 1917
Yeah.
win for Angels on the first map and then 16-11 and 16-3 for Guild. So a good comeback win for them. Very strong play. That was week 1. Leading into week 2, Nine Pandas Fearless going up against Copenhagen Flames, yeah.
Yeah, Copenhagen Flames Shield Maidens.
Yeah. 16-3, 16-9. So Nine Pandas showing good results after Katowice. Oh my goodness, a barn burner. Navi Javelins versus Angels.
Yeah, this was
16-13
great.
on Anubis. 22-19 on Nuke.
Yeah, that
And
was really good.
my goodness. I barely have the fortitude to play one match and get to 16. OTs just suck the life out of me. And the fact that Navi Javelins managed to get through that and win it 2-0. Great for them.
It
So
depends as a caster. Sometimes when I have a ton of time, like if I'm sitting down midday afternoon casting this
sure.
on a Saturday, I'm like, sure, you can give me 5 overtimes, I'll take it. I,
It's
I
11
want a
o'clock
banger
at night.
series.
No.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But no, this is a really good series. I want to point out Angelica in this series as well, though, because this is a player who you should follow her. Everybody should follow her on Twitch, in all honesty, because she streams all the time, hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of pugs. Just will pug for 6 hours a day,
Yeah.
4 days a week, on top of whatever practice she's putting in with Navi javelins. Like, this is a player who eats, breathes, and lives CS, right? And she's, to me, really improving as a player. Like, it's one of those things where improvement is very exponential. It's a
Yeah.
curve that is, as you continue to improve, you have to put in more work to get less, right, diminishing returns, right?
Yeah.
But there's a point where you can break through. That's what when players break through and then they find another level and they continue onwards, right? And I feel like Angelica, if she hasn't already done that, she is on the cusp of doing that with just the pure dedication that she has. I think it showed in this series because I think when Navi needed her most, she dug deep and found whatever that
Yeah.
Navi needed, put it on the table, and got him over the line.
Gonna quickly look. Yeah, plus 16 on the series on Nuke, plus 13. Nuke was in Jelka's map
Yeah.
for sure. Okay, that leaves us with the final 2 matches of the week there then. G2 going up against Copenhagen Flames Shield Maidens. G2 win 2-0. 16-9 on both Nuke and Vertigo, so very good out of that. And then Nine Pandas Fearless had to play their second match. They went up against Guild. It was a 2-0 for them. 16-11, 16-12. So this Guild esports squad, as much as we don't really know too much, like they're relatively
I mean,
new.
I know a lot about him.
Yeah, but
I've been
we haven't
following him
seen
for a
we
while.
haven't seen too much out of them, I
Well,
guess.
this is the remnants of the old NIP when
Is it?
NIP made the change. Yeah.
Oh,
Mini,
okay.
Pollux, Kiki, they were all on NIP. NIP
Oh,
dropped them, and
this makes way
this is
more sense
Guild.
now.
Yeah.
This makes
So
way more sense now.
they picked up Anna and Nia. So I'm a big fan of Minnie. I think she's been in the scene for a while, and it's good to see her playing.
Yeah,
Nine Pan is still a tough opponent, and I wouldn't have fancied Guild in the matchup prior. So no surprise that Nine Pandas won, I think. Over in the other match, G2, I don't think it's a surprise they won over Flame Shield Maidens. I think Flame Shield Maidens pretty much, Flames are here because they do what they do with all their teams. They
yeah.
bring up really young talent, they develop it. The talent looks to get to be really good. They sell them to another team. Then they bring up more young talent, and it just constantly over and over and over again. So there's players on this team like Ramsden, who I think is decent. She's been in Copenhagen Flames, I want to say 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah.
AIM is a player to definitely keep a watch on, and I think the series versus G2 proved that. I think AIM is very young, but also is a player to definitely, she's 20, according to HLTV. So again, very young. I believe Ramsden's about the same. Ramsden's 21.
Yeah.
So these are two players who are very young to keep an eye on. But I do like these two players. However, I think that just there's not enough within the team to really bring it to a competitive level.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess you hit the nail on the head. Copenhagen Flames' MO has always been we're gonna bring up next man up. We're gonna bring up new players. They're gonna develop. We're gonna make them appealing for people to buy or for them to get better contracts at other teams. And we're just gonna bring another player up in their stead, and it's continued that way. So we'll see what we see from them. If we see a lot of development, kind of like a Team Factor Ruby, if we see a lot of development from them over the season, we see market improvement, then ESL Impact, the circuit's doing its job. So good out of them, and good out of all these teams. That's the first 2 weeks of all of Impact, and oh my gosh, that took so long to do. We are gonna have to speed through the rest of this.
We're gonna do fine. Let's speed through the Cash Cup results.
We're gonna go through the Cash Cups results now, or do you want to go to one of the other cups?
Let's go to the Fast Cup. Actually, let's go to the Fast Cup. There was one other competition, and it was the Sakura 5v5 female Fast Cup, right? From Fast Cup female. Mainly all Russian kind of outlet. A lot of Russian teams. There was a Ukrainian team in here as well. I think a Finnish team, and then also one team from, I want to say, well, there's like a Spanish team, and I want to say it's either Kyrgyzstan or Montenegro,
That looks like
but I'm not
Montenegro.
100%.
That looks like a Montenegro flan. Are you talking
Yeah, I
about
think Reveal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a French team as well, ICBMF. So mainly a lot of teams that so the first, for the people that don't remember the Fast Cup that we covered last time, that was a $2,000 prize pool. So we got 30 teams. This was only 300, but we still got 20 teams. So and the new Team Spirit played in this, right? So that was the big point. That was the biggest draw, was Team Spirit played it. They didn't win. They finished second to this Yiyu side, your Yayo side, who actually won a Cash Cup as well, by the way. So more on that in a minute. But this Yayo side might be one that's really starting to develop outside of the Impact season as maybe the next team up. But Team Spirit had to really fight tooth and nail for this. They won 16-1 on the opening match, 69 in the quarterfinal, and then 19-17 over in Sileo in the semifinal, who they themselves had a double overtime match in the quarterfinal. And then it was all best of ones. And then the grand final was a 2-1 for Yayo. It was 16-9 on Anubis, 16 and 16-7 on Ancient for Yayo. Mirage was the opening map, and that was 16-11 for Team Spirit. So not a bad showing for Team Spirit, but certainly you would have thought they would have been the team to come in and win that tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's whenever we look at any kind of Cash Cup or any kind of tournament that comes to this, we always look when we go, okay, the Impact teams should be the ones with they're the upper echelon, essentially. They're the ones that we expect to be making results come forward because they qualified and they've had a lot of extra. They get a lot of extra reps in a top tier league. It kind of gives them extra practice, that extra reps, if you will, that they might not get in ESCA or in whatever other places they play in. So good to see that there are other teams though that are playing and consistently pulling up and making the teams that qualified, making them I wouldn't say uncomfortable, but making them kind of sweat a little bit for matches and everything. It shows there's a lot of competitiveness outside of just the Impact circuit, which is really cool, especially in Europe. Speaking of Europe, though, do we want to do all the Cash Cups real quick, and then we can go through the Goddess Cup, or?
Yes, let's do that. Cash Cups and then Goddess Cup.
So we'll kind of breeze through these ones. Speaking of Yayo, they played in the Winter number 5 Cash Cup, which happened the 11th and 12th of March across all of the regions. Notable teams this was before Team Spirit signed MVP, so MVP were in here. They did not make it past the quarterfinals against Guild, who were also there. Incilio Female were there, who again also played in that Fast Cup. And ICBMF, the French team that you mentioned in the Fast Cup, was there as well into the quarterfinals. Requiem was there, so a majority Ukrainian side. But yeah, Yayo was the one that took the win there. They won 2-1 over ICBMF. very good result for them. And then they also proved it the next
Yep.
weekend when they played in the Fast Cup. So
Yep.
good on that. The North American results, kind of what we come to expect, with Shimmer not playing in it. Detonate took the win handily. They 2-0'd both Cherry Bombs in the semis, and they 2-0'd Team Factor Ruby in the finals, the 16-7, 16-10.
And they beat Uwu in the quarterfinal.
Yeah, that's the one thing is Liquipedia doesn't show the quarterfinals for a lot of these
Yeah,
teams,
yeah.
even though NA has actually been managing to
I
get 8
look, it was
teams.
just a cheap way to shoehorn Uwu into the podcast. Okay.
But no, again, it's something we keep saying here is Team Factor when they come in these matches, like they are competitive, they just
Yeah,
don't win them, unfortunately, which is so disheartening to consistently say. But at the same time, the name recognition is there because they're consistently there.
absolutely.
Uh, Quickly moving on then, South America. Again, four teams coming in. And a bit of a weird one. B4,
Yeah.
LRV, Endgame, and Black Dragons. And B4 beat LRV in 2-0. Fairly the same results as what you'd expect in the group. In fact, I'm pretty sure this is all of Group B.
Yeah. It was actually 8 teams in this Cash
Yeah.
Cup, which, by the way, marked the joint second highest signups for a South American Cash Cup since January 22nd, 23rd of last year,
Wow.
the inaugural edition of the Impact Cash Cups.
Wow. So you said
So
that's tied, sorry?
I'm sorry?
Did you say it was tied for second place or it is
Yes,
second place?
joint second,
Yeah.
yes, with that inaugural Cash Cup. So
Okay.
So that was lovely to see in South America. B4 did get a forfeit win in the final.
Yeah.
I think because there was a clash with the Girl Gamer Pro Festival
Right.
and the timing of the flights and things like
So
that. So
Black
Black
Dragons just
Dragons
kind of just
actually
left.
played in the semi,
Yeah.
and yeah, pretty much because they knew they were gonna like getting into the semi gets you the money,
Yes.
right? So you might as
Yes.
well fight to get into the semi and then bounce and take the money.
Yeah.
So and they had to fly out for the Gamer Girl
Yeah.
Pro Festival in Bahrain, which was this past weekend as well.
Which, yeah, I know.
We'll get to it.
We'll
We'll
get to
cover
it
it
eventually.
briefly.
Briefly, very briefly. Okay, then South Africa comes through, and this one was White Rabbit Amarales going up against Vibe Female. I believe ATK had to set it out because they'd won 2 in a row. Banger of a match. WRA winning 19-16 on both Mirage and Vertigo to get the W. Did not need a third map. That's a close one right there. Holy smokes. Quick.
Yeah, that series is always delivers. It almost always delivers,
Yeah.
and it did here. It was the final. So
It's great to see that we. Oh, sorry, no, ATK weren't there because they were at Bahrain. I forgot about
yeah,
that.
they were the other team at Bahrain.
They were
Yeah,
another
there
team
were
at
3
Bahrain.
teams at Bahrain.
But
So you
no,
guys have you fly 3 teams to land and have a 3-team tournament.
yeah, no, I mean, it's cool to see that we have 3 strong teams in South Africa that are consistently playing up against each other, and always, well, not always different results. Generally, ATK wins, but between Right Round Alice and Vibin, there's always like a different result between which one of the two kind of wins, which on the day, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. Oceania comes through yet again, pulling up with Newt versus Treads.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
was dead tired for this cast.
Newt's won 2-0, 16-8, 16-4.
Yeah.
Really cool from them. I mean, it's so empowering to see that Oceania continues to just pull these like every weekend
Oh,
they
yeah.
just come out, they play one match, and they just they just make an event out of it. Really,
Yeah.
they just
Yeah.
you know what we're gonna ESL has extended the olive branch. We are gonna continue to take, and we're gonna continue to try and nurture talent and nurture and have a good time because that's what
Yeah.
it is. So really cool from them to see that. And then of course the Asia Cash Cup comes through, and it's Hotu going up against HSG. Notably, this HSG does not yet contain Olga. Olga was not
Correct.
present for either this or the Goddess Cup, as we'll probably talk about really quick next. But yeah, it was a 16-11 to 16-7. HSG continuing to keep their win streak alive in the Asia Cash Cup.
Yes, and the most notably too is we got DSN to compete in this Cash Cup as well.
Yeah.
Losing to HSC in the semis. But some DSN, a team in China that we were about to talk about, because there was one other big tour, well, really two. I guess let's save Goddess for last. Let's talk about the GamerGirlPro Festival real quick. Actually,
Yeah.
not much to mention, but Black Dragons from South America, ATK from South Africa, and Enigma Galaxy from Europe, mainly because the team or so Girl Gamer Pro Festival is sponsored by Enigma Galaxy. They
Oh,
run and fund it.
okay.
So they of course are always good. It's like the old Ambush seasonal cups
Yeah.
where of course
Ambush
they're
was
going to invite.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course they're going to invite their own team. So Enigma went to the LAN, and Black Dragon ATK put up some decent games against Black Dragons. To be fair, they got quite a few rounds. So ATK were looking pretty decent. I think they finished in last place. I don't actually have the bracket up or anything, and it's not
Yeah,
on
I have no idea where it
Wikipedia
is.
or anything like that. So yeah, I'm not. But in the end, it was Enigma that won over Black Dragons in the final, and I think they got paid out in crypto, which
Oh dear.
I know it was like
You get it in crypto, you're instantly
yeah,
moving it over into
they were
actual
all holding a
currency.
check like this, and it was like it said on it like 4 million tokens, and I'm like,
Sell it.
that's not good.
Sell
That's
it
not good, mate. That's not good.
instantly. You just get rid of it. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
exactly. So yeah, just convert it to cash as quick as you can.
Dude, liquidate it immediately.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not worth keeping
As
around.
someone who's into long-term investing too, just liquidate crypto as quick as you can.
Put it into
Um,
stocks or like a mutual fund or something. Like take it out
or
of the
a dividend,
blockchain.
something that'll
Just
pay.
get it
Yeah,
out,
exactly. So
please.
yes, yes. So
Oh, crypto.
especially non-main stable coins. But anyway,
Yes.
enough about crypto and GamerGirl Pro Festival. So that was just one side note. It's nice that they got there. I was actually this might have been one of the first lands or few lands parks.
Yeah.
This might have been the first land since 2019 where I cared more about the League of Legends event than the Counter-Strike event. Okay.
Wow.
Because G2 was playing at the League of Legends event, and
Yeah.
there's a streamer I follow called Countess, who I've been following since,
For
I
forever.
mean, since she was on. So I first discovered her watching GamerGirl Pro Festival way
Yeah.
back when they had the Abu Dhabi Festival in 2019, and
Right.
she was on a team there called Out of Bounds or OOB, and she was just smoking everybody, and I'm like, how is this kid so good? Like, it just was unreal.
Yeah.
And she's been like challengers, I think, twice now in EU West, which is not easy, obviously, for League of Legends. Not that I've taken a side turn of the podcast, but
Yeah.
still, I was watching that. She unfortunately lost in the final to a Korean team, but like, and she's signed for G2 now. So it was like
Yeah.
I was watching that tournament intensely as opposed to the CS. But anyway, believe it or not, but leads us to our final tournament.
Actually, real quick before, because I was just thinking about this.
Yes,
Shout out
yes,
to Apples and Gompers. I remember that
yes.
they went
Oh
to did some
yes,
casting.
they commentated it.
They did
Yes,
some casting over there. There's
and Gompers did the CS.
Yeah, Gompers did some CS, which
Yeah.
is really cool. I've been talking with Apples actually because well she's over there and everything, and one of the photos she sent me is like Gompers holding up a camera. So there's probably gonna be a
Yeah.
Bahrain vlog very soon from Gompers,
That would
which
be
will be
sick,
amazing.
actually.
I'm so excited for
Yeah.
that. But yeah, that Bahrain interesting location for the tournament as well. But it makes sense, I
Yes.
guess. Kind of
Well, you got to remember that Enigma Galaxy are based in the UAE,
yeah.
so like they play all around. They've done tournaments
Well,
all
yeah,
around that
it's
area,
exactly
right?
why they make
So
sense. So,
yeah.
yeah, no, like you said, this leads us into the final tournament here. We gotta run out of time
AIM.
here.
Yeah, I know, but it's the AIM Goddess Cup Season 3. So it's an Asia tournament. I'm so happy I found this tournament. Okay, so happy I found this tournament. So
to
let's go real quick. Format was 4 groups of 4 teams. Okay, GSL groups. Everything is best of one, even the lower brackets. Right?
yeah,
Everything is best of one. So the top 2 teams would move on to a double elimination bracket, and from there, everything is best of 3, except for the losers final and the grand final, which were best of 5s.
wow,
I think that's a pretty decent format. So you had Alu, who's played in some of the Cash Cups before. I don't know if you all remember, but Alu have appeared in a few of them. They were kind of a side to watch. DSN, who just played in this last Cash Cup, were a side to watch. Group A finished with, believe it was K or XKK, and Perfect Esports Female. And coming out of that group was Perfect Esports Female. Alu just ran the group away.
Yeah.
And then the second one was Nimbus versus a team I don't know. They got 2 high fives. A Corgi team, a YSSN, and Nimbus drove through Group B. And the high five team came in second place. HSD were in Group C, right, with Nice Try, VVS, who has also played Cash Cups,
Right.
and Tyne, and HSG ran through the upper bracket. NT came out of the uh, loser side over VVS, which to me was a shock. I would have put VVS there. And then the final group, Group D, was LVG, WBLL, and then 2 teams I have no idea.
Yeah.
Something with the canceled sign through some uh, Chinese character,
Yeah.
and something with an anime character. And eventually it was LVG taking the top end of the group, and then the anime character team taking the bottom half. I apologize, I don't know the
Yeah.
team name.
Words.
Yeah. Quarterfinals, Alu beating YSSN. Perfect Esports Female looked pretty good in Group A. I finished watching the Group A VODs. Beating the High Five team. And then HSG beat Nice Try. LVG beat the anime team. That put the High Five team versus YSSN, and the High Five team won 2-1.
Yep.
And the anime team beat Nice Try 2-1. So they would move on. The interesting thing was the day, March 12th. Alu played Perfect Esports Female, beat him 2-0. That's expected. LVG beat HSG
Oh.
2-1. Kicked HSG to the lower bracket, right? So
Yeah.
that was the upper bracket semis. So then Perfect Esports had to play the High Five team. They beat them 2-1. HSG had to play the anime team. HSG won 2-0.
Yeah.
Which meant in the upper bracket final, Alu had to play LVG.
Yeah.
Alu 2-0'd. In the lower bracket semi, HSG had to play Perfect Esports Female. HSG 2-0'd. And you got the losers final between LVG and HSG. So you got the rematch in the lower bracket.
Yeah.
HSG would squeak it out in all 5 maps.
Wow.
So it took 5 maps. And then HSG would play Alu for the grand final, and HSG would squeak it out again in all 5 maps. So yes, HSG did win the tournament in the end.
Jeez.
They took a route I didn't expect them to take.
Yeah.
Alu particularly looked really good, and so did LVG. And if you watch some of the VODs, which I have been doing, and I'm probably going to finish the VODs, you know, the teams that like the DSN, they don't play like perfect Counter-Strike. It's very puggy style.
Yeah.
But some of these other teams coming in like Alu play very measured Counter-Strike. Like there is more, we look at HSG as like this team came out of nowhere from Asia, and they're really, really, really good, and they can compete with the best. There's other teams like that in China.
Yeah.
The fact that we haven't seen them is because Impact gives 1 qualifier spot to them.
Yeah.
But this was a really good tournament to showcase it. What I like is it was a long tournament spread out over 2 weeks. It was a full group stage, bracket, double limb. Like
Yeah.
the only problem I have with it is that the groups are best of 1, and GSL format's fine for that. But if you're gonna make the lower, you got to make the lower part of that best of 3, because you could lose 2 best of 1s and you're out of the tournament already.
Yeah.
And it's like, why? Why? Do you know what I mean? Whereas
Yeah.
other teams could lose a best of 1, win 2 best of 1s, and then have to lose 2 more best of 3s to get eliminated.
Yeah.
So like, if you do that, then yeah, you deserve to be eliminated. But if you lose 2 best of 1s, do you deserve to be eliminated more than this
Not
team that
really.
could lose 2 series?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, I don't know. But overall, pretty good tournament, really good Counter-Strike, and I'm so happy I found all the VODs that I can enjoy. So.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Also to mention, they didn't have Olga in that tournament as
I was
well.
gonna say, yeah, they didn't have Olga in that tournament. So that's a big thing. But it's incredible to think like HSG has been a really good team, and there's 2 teams that kind of took them to the brink, and one of them beat them. Like,
yeah.
those are like, it's a little bit of a hidden, it's a sleeper it's a sleeper region really at this point, kind of coming through as a wild card group. Which interestingly enough, ESL Impact has yet to announce which region is getting the wild card qualifier. And in my mind, when I'm looking at this, I'm going, it's either going to be Asia or it's going to be South Africa, just based on kind of where they're at in terms of teams. Oceania though is still doing a great job of showing up and showing they care and they're interested, but at the same time they don't have a scene there anymore. It's kind of crumbled a bit where they don't have tournaments that they, because it's all mixed down there, right? The
Yeah,
player
it
population
is.
works out that it's mixed teams, which makes sense. And
Yeah.
in all honesty, it helps a lot of the female players get better because they're playing up against guys that go and play in, go into the Challenger League and
Well,
play like, against Vexite or anything from Greyhound or
yeah.
Chicken or
The
Rooster.
other
Sorry.
thing, the other thing about Oceania too is that a lot of it's a I didn't mean to cut you off, but just to
No.
make a point, is it's a mix in terms of where the players are at in their careers.
Yeah.
So you have players who still want to compete, and then you have players like I believe Eminent, who is more like taking a step back role. Kim
Yeah.
Bob and Bones have certainly are not really in the competitive scene anymore. Like they compete in the
Yeah.
cash cups, but
They're
they're
not
not
really there to play. They're there
right. And
because
then
people.
yeah, and then you have people like Viscos, who's insane, but has taken her career into Apex gaming, and she's
Yeah.
really good at Apex as well. But it's one of those things where like she knows that CS really wasn't there for her,
Yeah.
so she's going to try her luck in Apex and build up her Apex skills. And some others have gone over to Valorant as well, and they've come back from Valorant just to play the
Yeah.
cash clips. So it's like it's all over the place right now. And it's none of their faults. Like I'm not
No.
blaming the players, but it's just the scene is all over the place. So the reason why it doesn't look put together and has org support is because it's literally just all over the
It
place.
is. It is. Yeah. There is no organization for them to put together something. You could put together two teams for sure to play in these cash cups.
Yeah,
But
even four.
you could. Yeah. There's enough player base for it. It's just there's not enough organization in terms of behind it to keep it consistent. So that's
Yeah.
that's something interesting to watch out for. And speaking of watch out for, I think we've covered everything. I'm just gonna do a quick look.
Yeah. We're gonna have to go through a little bit of the news if we haven't covered that.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big things I guess that we haven't touched on yet, at least in terms of NA, is CLG Red have been playing in the CCT playoffs. Uh,
Yes.
Something interesting with that is they're in Maine,
Mm.
and playoffs came around and they unfortunately did not qualify for advanced. Again, another season
No.
they did not do too well this time around.
They
Unfortunately, I
went
think
2-2 in the bracket if I remember
yeah, they
correctly.
went 2-2. So not great, unfortunately for them. However, CCT has come around, and so they're playing in that.
Mhm.
They made it out of their group. They're into playoffs, and
I
as we
think they were
mentioned
like
at the
0 and
top,
2 in their group too, and they ran it back if I
yeah.
remember
And
correctly.
so something really cool with that actually that you were mentioning earlier is they're actually playing right now against the main Detonate squad. And this
Yeah.
Detonate squad, by the way, is an ECL and has qualified for the RMR, which,
Yeah.
presents itself its own little thing there. So I don't know how well they'll do, but the fact that they're getting to play that kind of level of competition, really good for them. And hopefully it means when we come around to season 45, they run back again through main, they do well, they qualify for advanced, and we kind of move on and say, listen, they're finally where we expect them, where we want them to be, which is in advanced.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So I
Yeah,
think that's it.
I
We've
think that's
covered
it.
G2, right?
Yeah, we covered G2 getting signed. We covered Team Spirit. We covered Guild. We covered Bahrain. Yeah, I think we're pretty much through everything here.
Okay.
Benny, you already mentioned you're gonna be watching some of those VODs back. What else
Oh
are you
yeah.
watching here, my guy?
Obviously, Impact C3, week 3 and 4, but also, breaking news.
Oh,
Breaking news. We are going to get another $300 Sakura Cup next weekend, or this weekend
oh,
coming up, I should say.
wow. Okay.
So I am looking forward to seeing who signs up for that and how many teams we get, because those tournaments have been pretty beefy in terms of the
Number.
signups, and I would
Yeah.
love to see more of it. Actually, I'd probably cast it if I could.
Hey,
Well,
there's people around here who can cast cash cups and stuff. You can go cast a fast cup, right? It won't take too
yeah.
long. It's fast in the name. Um.
Don't do that. You better knock on wood right
Yeah.
now. Okay.
We'll knock on some wood. We'll hit it nice and hard. Mike
Yeah.
picked that up too, which is good.
Yeah. I don't know if it picked up mine,
I
but
don't think
still.
it did, but no. Listen, we talked about what we're watching. I will be helping you produce week 3 and week 4
Yes.
over.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Oh my God, the auto director is so bad.
It's,
Oh my
it's
God, it's so
incredible, man.
bad. We watched like the first like 4 rounds, I think, on auto director in week 1. And I was
We
just
had a
like, this is
certified
bad.
bruh moment after the
Oh
first
my
gun round. That was about it. Like that was.
I'm gonna go back. I gotta go back through the VODs and find all of my like oof moments. I'm gonna make a compilation for the end of the season.
That's good. I
That
like that
that'd be
actually.
so funny. We'll just have like a little counter in the top corner as well as the video plays through. Anyways. Yeah. So watching ESL Impact, we got the Catch Cup on the weekend. I might be moving sometime soon. I said I was gonna move like at the start of March, and then bad weather hit, so I just decided not to because I can kind of do that when I'm moving from family house to family house. But eventually that's gonna happen, and that means that this background will be gone, and I might not be on my computer for a while because I'll have to get everything set up again, um, around the room. So yeah, I mean, I'm watching what I can, and I'm keeping an eye on my hours, trying not to burn myself out because oh my god, I was coming really close to it a few weeks ago there.
Yeah, it's tough. Like burnout is serious. It can really drag you down.
Well, I looked at. I've looked at how many hours we've been putting into stuff, like even just the
Yeah,
regular season casting plus anything else on the side, and like,
yeah.
man, there are a lot of days where I should have probably taken a day off and like hung out with friends IRL
Oh
and like
yeah.
gotten away from the PC, but I went, you know what? I'm
That
here to
was kind of
cast.
the great thing about last weekend when we had no cash cups.
Oh,
It was like, oh my god, we have a break. It was like, oh my
I
god.
I sat here and did nothing, and I'm like, man, this is I've needed this for a long time.
Yeah,
So
same here.
it's
Same
it's
here.
it's good to get a break in every once in a while, but I'm glad we've still got action coming through consistently, right? It's not just like a every weekend thing.
Yeah.
I'm good with the Wednesday, Thursday, something in the middle of the week to kind of tide me over, um, and get me through
Yeah.
everything. But yeah, that is
Exactly.
everything here. Thank you very much for watching. What is this? Episode 13. Oh my goodness.
13.
Dude, when do we switch to season 2? That's the question. When are we getting season 2?
There's no season 2. There's no season 2. We
It's
just keep
just
going.
consistently going up.
We
Yeah.
just keep going higher and higher, okay?
Speaking of consistency here, considering these episodes are running so long, we need
Mhm.
to. I think we might need to. I need to add something here. We'll have something in the works. We got something in the works.
We got stuff in the
We
works,
got something in
definitely,
the works. Don't
100%.
worry about it.
Oh yeah,
We're
100%. You
getting
guys are gonna
something.
like it though.
I think so.
If you're fans of the pod and you're fans of the players and you're fans of everybody in the scene,
I think you're gonna like what we're
we
trying to
definitely
work on.
cooking. We
Yeah, we
definitely cooking
cooking.
for you.
We
We
cooking.
cooking.
It's a slow
We
roast. We
cooking.
gotta let a few hours on this one, but
Okay.
it's
Put
gonna
that
work
shit in the crock pot. Let
out.
that shit go. Comes out amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
All right, everybody. Have a great 2 weeks. We'll be back with the next episode. Until then, bye for now.